And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster and I am with surprise guest, Mr. Chris Edwards.
A rare.
Wait, what happened? I lost him. What happened to Chris? Where did Chris go? Anyway, he'll be back. I'm sure he'll be back. Yes, what's going on? Let me send an invitation out to some folks. There's Mr. Chris.
So StreamYard's having some problems because I had problems getting in this morning.
Did you really?
Yeah, and it just booted me out all of a sudden.
Interesting.
I'm hoping. Well, I know they had an update because I saw some things when I first came in. So let's hope and see it doesn't do anything else crazy.
Well, let's see. I'm gonna reach out. I know Gwendolyn's getting ready for her thingamajig, but anyway, I'm sending it out to Gwendolyn. Yes. 4 of us. And I'm gonna let her know I'm alive. She's checking on me. Gwendolyn's checking on me. She said, "What's going on?" Let me just let her know I'm good. We're on. We are on. There we are. Let me send her a little smiley face. And
dude, I don't know what's going on. It booted me out twice.
It booted you out again?
Yeah, you didn't. I wasn't. Yeah, and it's funny. I've been here since 1:45, and it was fine. I'm not touching anything. Don't touch anything, Chris. Don't touch anything.
Anyway, I see Mr. B is in the building. Brian is in the building. He says, "It's Wednesday, fam. We have a lot of water cooler talk to cover. I'm ready." And Lisa says, "Hey, we lost Chris again. Oh, we got Gwendolyn now. What's going on? It's like switching people out."
Hey.
What is going on with StreamYard? Oh, man. I think Chris may have to do a reboot. Oh, man. So? Let's see if you get to stay.
We should find out. I was up recording before I do my
I love that.
Official.
I love your top. That is beautiful.
Oh, wait, it's a dress.
Oh, you look very
so,
shazzy.
I know we were talking about like, designer brand stuff, but DVF, Diane von Fustenberg, her dresses, her wrap dresses, that deep V, it stays giving, right? It stays giving, putting the foot on the necks of everybody. Yes.
Chris says he restarted his computer.
He's restarted his computer. Yeah, I wanted to record my 2 videos before I leave for the week. Mm-hmm. And then also I have to go out and run some errands and stuff like that. So, my dress down is also dressed up. A girl say looking good, Ron.
I know. Look, you were definitely. Whenever I walked the streets with you, I was feeling good. I was walking with my eye candy.
Man,
when you were in New York and we would be walking to something and people were
they were like, how did he look?
How did he get
not that having you by my side didn't boost me up too. Now I'm not gonna let you put to the side now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, because I was sophisticated. I am sophisticated.
Yes, you and your bow ties were sophisticated.
My bow ties, that's right. I did not go anywhere without my bow ties.
Yes. So no, it was all good. No, we are just getting ready to make that move. We got to run some errands. Like I said, I wanted to get some recording done because I don't want to lose the time. Don't want to lose the week.
Yes.
But yeah. If I may real quick, as we're waiting for Chris and before you get started with all your hellos, when people talk about going out and that you have to have some place to go to be dressed up, I don't know what people's dressed up is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not in today's world. It means different things.
I don't have, like, when people were doing all the sweatpants things, like, I don't have any sweatpants. We don't live that life. Don't live that life. I'm just like, I don't.
Sweatpants.
I will put, like, if I have to go run errands, I'm putting on a dress. I'm going to go out in my dress. I'm going to look cute and shit. And then I'm going to come on and, do what I have to do.
You're all about looking good, though. You always.
I looks good. Man, the Houston clan, we look good all the time. Like, you can't tell us nothing. Mama done said the good Lord didn't make no mistakes. Recognize that. So
no, they did not. Good morning, Gwendolyn.
hello,
Chris is back.
Well, let's see how long it keeps me in here. If I get booted out, I'm not trying it again because this is like the fourth time.
Gwendolyn has staying power, so she's not getting booted out yet.
Well, most women do.
Thank you, Chris, for that one. Just in case people didn't know.
Lord have mercy.
A woman's going to keep on keeping on. You know what I'm saying? With an Energizer Bunny. I'll let you get a break in real quick, and then we'll pick it up in the next session.
Well, let's say hello to Bryson. Says, "What's up, Ron? What's up, Chris? What's up, RLP fam? What's up, everybody? Happy Jurassic World Rebirth Day. We just found out that Diddy found guilty on 2 charges out of the 5.
Out of 5,
2 out of 5. And
it's you want to go over them real quick?
Yeah, you could. You know what? Let's say hello a little bit first, and then we'll go right into that. Lisa says, Diddy acquitted of most serious charges. They asked for him to go home today until sentencing. Yep. They did do it.
Well, no, I mean they didn't say yet, but I mean it's a strong possibility.
Yes, a possibility
because he spent all that time in jail so far.
Yeah, because I heard that they may not want him to go because of the media, the PR, the pros, and all that other stuff that's going on. Jazzy says, good morning, beautiful people, with her roses. We love Jazzy. We love Jazzy. And Lisa says, also, let them know G been that girl. Bryson says, what's up, Brian? What's up, Jazzy? Anthony says, good morning. Brian says he's ready. Put me in. Okay, we're going to put you in now, Brian. I want to have to tell you something. You're going to have to give us your all. Don't be half. Give us your all. Here we go. We're going to put you on, bro. We're going to put you on. Hold on a second. Let me get you in here. I got to send you an invite. Let me send you an invite. I sent one to Elise, but I'll send you one to you as well, sir. So we got to make it good.
A full house today.
A full house. That's right. Okay, we're going to put Mr. B is coming in the building. Mr. B is coming in the building with all his energy. There we go. Nice. I just sent it out to you, Mr. B. You got it. And let's see what's next. What's next here? Oh, who else? Oh, Kelly A's in the building. She says, good morning, everyone. And G says, gotta tell him. And Bryson says, and he will be sentenced 20 years to prison. Yes, because there is 10 years on each charge. Now, he could be charged. He could go 20 years, but 10 years for each one. Or the judge can have him run consecutively so he can do 10 years.
And the way things are going now, he might not get much of anything.
I think he's going to jail, though. I think he's going to jail.
Oh, I'm not saying he's not going. I think he's going to jail, but he might just get off.
He may just get 5 years. 5 years. Maybe. What's up, Gwendolyn? So Bryson says, okay, we're all here. Well, Gang is here. So what do you guys think?
Well, look, let me read you. Let me read that. I snapshot it. So on racketeering and RICO, not guilty. Sex trafficking, not guilty, both counts. Trafficking of prostitutes, guilty, both counts. And no, trafficking of prostitutes has a maximum sentence of 10 years each. Now, the trafficking of prostitutes, basically what they're saying is that Cassie and the other young woman were considered prostitutes in this case. Mm-hmm. So here's now this is I want to talk about this and explore this a little bit because they talked about it a little bit on Don Lemon. He's still actually on.
They're still going at it. And we might plug into there.
What they're actually doing is diminishing these young women's trauma of what they went through by one even calling them prostitutes. Because basically what they're saying is that they were willing participants in this. Mm. That's basically what they're saying here. And that's one of the things that they found him guilty of.
Yeah, this is also what was said. They would talk about on Don Lemon's show. And we may plug in to just hear because he has 2 amazing lawyers on right now. So we may plug into that just to hear their conversation about it. But it was really again, they were saying the neglect of really supporting the victims are the women.
Yeah, and let's be clear, black women.
Because
this would not have happened to white women.
Right. If there was a white woman, he would be under the cell. But because this is a black woman, black women are not elevated to the position that who they are. I mean,
they're never believed.
They're never believed. They're always looked down on, no matter how bad the situation is. Lisa just had a situation with her medical that she shared. If you have not seen her testimony on her YouTube channel, check out Lisa Seeley's YouTube channel. And women, black women are always. Hate generalize like that, but it is a fact that
it is a fact.
I don't think it's a generalization.
Yeah, that's not a generalization. We know it statistically. That's right. So
yeah, I mean,
statistically,
that our bodies have there is no love or care for our bodies. We are open to being used for all kinds of scientific experiments. When we have pain, it is not belief, because we are just built to handle pain. We are unlovable. We are also very angry. And at the exact same time, we are everybody's emotional mule. So this is not surprising. It is highly upsetting. I hate to say it's another day in America, but at the exact same time, it's another day that is like this. This is the kind of stuff, if I may, really quick. My grandmother talked about how when she was getting beat on, she would fight back. And at one point, she literally took a razor to the guy, chopped off his titty, right? Hung it on the tree. And I thought, Granny, nobody does that. But then I thought, wait a minute. Now, there was some proof, but also, too, there were no cops called because nobody cares. They don't care about a black woman being abused and what happens to her. We are less than, as far as they're concerned. So that was way back when. And here we are now. We are less and it's the same thing still. So I'm just,
feedback. Someone has feedback on their platform. You have to silence your background noise, and but yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. But I think hey, Elise is in the building. Brian's in the building. Brian, can we hear you? Are you already set up, sir? Brian, once you get set up, I'll bring you back.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Miss Elise. How are you, my dear? What? I mean, did you see the verdict, Elise? Have you been watching the news this morning?
Yes,
over the last hour.
Yes, I did.
Well, yeah. So it's a shame, but if he. They're gonna have to figure out: is he gonna go out? Is he gonna wait his sentence free, and then he will get his sentencing? But
I wouldn't be surprised if they allow him to walk out.
I think they're gonna let him walk out.
There's no reason for them to keep him there. I mean, they have his passport. It's not like he can leave the country. That type of stuff. And then, listen to me. I'm sure he has a great PR company working with him right now. And the minute he gets out. Oh, it's a witch hunt, and see, they couldn't even prove their case. They got me on these lesser charges, and they're going to fight that. And listen, we are living in a different world right now where the media does not focus on the facts. People can come out there and just say it's a witch hunt and get away with it and just walk away scot-free. So, it's a different world.
Well, let's listen in on what's going on Don Lemon's show, because what Monique is on there speaking right now, and she is an amazing lawyer. Let's listen in on what she's talking about.
But again, this is the prosecution's fault. This isn't Ms. Ventura's fault. They might not have believed the coercive nature was such that she did not have independent decision making. So that's where trafficking, that's where kidnapping, that's where all those things are going to fall apart. And the prosecutor tried to put on the stand a person who had never evaluated Ms. Ventura, never talked with her. I mean, all of these things are just things that if it wasn't this type of high profile case, I firmly believe it doesn't make it through the door at all.
Well, I firmly believe if that CNN video had not come out, if that had not been leaked, we wouldn't be here. That video is what created the public concern, the outcry, and where people said, oh gosh, Diddy's been getting away with committing crimes for decades. Enough is enough. Without that video, there would have never been this trial. But also, I just want to say, as a testament to the attorneys there, Great job on the legal defense side. The prosecution, I'll say they were very organized. But I'm just gonna go there, Dawn. I gotta tell the truth. This is what it looks like in the law when you don't have DEI. When you have a monolith, each of the women that were on the prosecution, first of all, they were all women. They were all Caucasian. It's my understanding based on my research, they grew up in privileged lives and have lived the majority of their lives in privilege. They could not relate to the jury, and you could tell. And when I thought about it, I was like, there were just certain arguments. There's no way in hell I would be on a legal team trying to argue that, oh yeah, Cassie was sex trafficked and beat down like this, and then Jane was trafficked by not getting her $10,000 a month rent. Girl, bye. I feel like if they had people on the legal team for the prosecution that better mirrored the jury the way that Diddy did, they would have been able to speak to them and told a better story. Because in the end, the prosecution simply did not tell a more persuasive story.
And they might have been, I watch you all the time, Dawn, and I know you talked a lot about not judging people's lifestyles, what somebody's particular kink is, or what their freak is, or what their thing is. And then some of this, to many, is just beyond the pale, but you never have any idea who's in your jury. And so if you have a particular set of sensibilities, you really have to be tapped in to understand, and don't make any assumptions. Don't think that the 50-something-year-old wealthy white architect or engineer isn't the main one that most identifies with the defendant.
Good point. Yeah,
depending on the way they're living their life. And I think that's the way it came back with that one juror, because way back when they were having to remove a juror, I'm like, that doesn't matter. Y'all, this is not black and white. When you start dealing with privilege and with a lot of money and with what goes on in people's bedrooms, it crosses all kinds of lines, because it's everybody from the poor, white, rural man living in a trailer home to the wealthy, rich, black woman who regularly pays for sex. There's a line, and the line ain't color. So,
but also when I saw,
so there you go with it. I mean, that's what they're talking about over there, and that's a complicated case. But I tell you, I'm it's out of my what do you call it? Out of my pay grade. So
above your pay grade?
Yeah, it's a way above my pay grade. I mean, part of me does not care about what has gone on with P. Diddy, but another part of me is concerned because of how the justice system works and went against the women, the black women that needed to be heard, supported. But
this is nothing new.
Yeah, it's we see it over and over again in the justice system. So
especially when it comes to black women.
Yeah, especially for black women, black men included, but definitely black women get a harsh. They are just not acknowledged in society. And even with black women, like for instance, there's a thing going around about Ketanji.
Ketanji Brown.
Yeah, Ketanji Brown, and they're saying, is she a DEI hire for the Supreme Court? But then these other folks went and said, wait a minute, y'all getting a little carried away, and then they brought down, she's the most qualified on the court. That even when you go to Chat GPT, and it says, who's the most qualified person on the bench of the Supreme Court, and give the reasons why. Chat GPT lists her as number one. So again, and we also know that the highest rate of graduates in America today from colleges are black women.
Yep. The most highly educated people in the United States are black women. Period.
Anyway, Elise, I know you're there. You're talking. I'm going to bring Brian on, but you can Elise share your thoughts.
Well, you know, my
If you
thoughts
have
are-
any, you may not even have a thought on this.
well, my thoughts may not be on this, but it's on Malcolm X. The most
Yes.
disrespected and unprotected person in America is a Black woman.
Yeah.
Always has been, always will be. And then people wonder, why are we the way we are? Because who else is protecting us that way?
Mm.
Not even our own men protect us all the time.
Mm.
And so they will turn on you just like anyone else. So I think that, you know, as we dissect the case, no one knows what it's like to be in an abusive situation. There are women and men and women who stay in abusive situations. I had a classmate when she came to our last reunion. She said, well, you know, I've been away. I've been in jail. I was in prison. She killed her abusive mate, husband. Because as you can see, women forever, I don't care if they were Black or white, when you go into court and you talk about being sexually assaulted or abused, they ask you a million questions. What did you have on? Why did you stay? What did you do? And what, all of these questions are there, right? Or people in household families where the woman comes and say, hey, this is happening. Can I stay here? And you say, oh, go back. And I grew up in a family where women were abused. I had an aunt who stayed with her husband who I couldn't figure out. He's a little man. And I know he abused. I saw her come to my grandmother's house when I was a child, before I was 10 years old, with her kids in tow. And she went back. They could ask the same question. Why did she stay? I don't know. She had a job. I don't know why she stayed. I know that the only way she eventually got away was she came to live with my mother in East Cleveland, Ohio, when I was in high school. So we can sit and say a lot of things about women, but understanding that we don't have the protection that we deserve, and the way we protect other people. We're also the most protective people of those we love and care about. Even if they don't protect us, we protect them and always have. And I think that's the one thing that I take away from anything. And anyone who can sit in judgment of why a woman or anyone who's in an abusive relationship didn't leave, I want you to go through one and then tell me why you stayed. Because I saw women stay.
And again, you know, I had one of my friends, she was abused by her husband. We used to come to work and in situations, and I used to say, why don't you just leave? And, your ignorance of when you're younger, and you say, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? It's not
as easy.
But and plus, you know, it's like, yeah, I was thinking
children, you got it's a whole, it's so complex.
Well, I was thinking about this song that Josiah made. It's called In Your Hands. And there's this one part in there that says, I was taught to stay. I was taught to stay. You've heard the current VP say that women, even if they're abused, should stay.
Yeah. Stay in that marriage, he says.
Women who are in abusive situations right now, who, for whatever reason, whether it's society and how they look or how family treats you, they stay. And I know we can all say it should be easy. I never judge my aunt for her staying. And I will never judge her for her staying, because I don't know what the response. I know she could come to my grandmother's house. I don't know what my grandmother told her afterwards.
Yes.
And people think it's, you know, I think we sit in judgment, and we are not as protected as we should be. And that's why we are so protective sometimes of each other. And Gwendolyn put a meth thing in there, and it's so true in so many cases. So many women are also misogynistic.
You know, I mean, can I pause you with that on that thought? Is that's what the panelist was saying on the one of the lawyers was saying, what's her name from that used to be on MSNBC? She said, Miss Fang, she said, just because the court is made, so let's say the jury was made of all women on this particular case, doesn't mean that they was going to be favorable to the women, because there's a lot of women that are harder on women than men are.
And there are a variety of reasons why they're like that. You know, when you talk to some of them are I endured it, so you should be able to deal with this. I mean, that's a mentality out there.
Yeah.
And some of them, of course, that one you should leave and all that. And it's not that, it's not that cut and dry. It's a complex thing, I think. And I know it was something Lisa said. But one of the things is what I wanted to say to anyone. A lot of this starts out through emotional and verbal abuse. And it ends up becoming physical. And it also includes isolation. I had a niece, her boyfriend, her fiance wasn't abusive, but I saw where he was kind of trying to isolate her. Like asking her why your sister calls so much.
That is the first step.
Go outside with your shoes? Why did you go outside with your shoes off? See, that's about control.
Yep.
And
that's the first step.
I had a conversation with her, and I asked her, "Can you live with that for the rest of your life?" I said, "If not, we'll have lunch on the day of your wedding that should have taken place." We ended up having lunch on that day. Not because he was abusive, but I saw signs of control.
Yes.
But that control will lead to abuse.
It always overflows.
It's systematic. It's a breakdown mentally. When you have total control over a person, you can do whatever it is you want to them and get away with it. When you see those signs and you see signs in other people, I'm so glad you said something to her. Because a lot of times people don't see it because they're so in love and they can't see past all the bullshit. Right. That's how these people, and I'm not going to say women, that's how people get into controlling and abusive relationships, because it happens to men as well.
Happens to men. I had a friend who talked about some, and I said, okay, all I'm going to say is that's emotional abuse. And the female at some point grabbed his hands. He wasn't doing anything. She grabbed him. I said, okay, so if you still want to think you so love this person, then all I can do is pray for you, because I'm going to let you know up front what it is and what it's going to lead to. And I would tell people, I've seen it. I'll give you another example. So one of my oldest daughter's godmothers came to my house one night because her husband had abused her physically. And I let her stay. And I told her this. I said, I'm going to tell you exactly what he's going to do to get you back in his house. He's going to tell you he loves you. He's sorry. The devil made you. He's going to give you flowers. I said, I'm going to tell you now. Now, the next time it happens, I said, because it will, don't call my number. Because I'm telling you now it's going to happen. She went back. And of course, months later, it happened again. And she left for the final time. And she just thanked me. I mean, at that point, she was like, you were right. Yeah, I was right. I said, because it's not going to change. They'll change. They all change temporarily. I always say
for that moment
when necessary, right? But the bottom line is they are at the core who they are.
Yep.
They're controlling, male or female.
Yep.
Because I've seen females who are very controlling.
I've seen it too.
They're not. They're only going to change, as I tell people, they're going to only change to get you to say I do.
Yep.
And then they become the monsters they always have been.
Let's hear from Brian, because I see Brian itching to say something.
Brian, you got something to say, sir?
Well, I wasn't, how can I put it? That hits home for me personally as a man, being on the flip side of that. Now, I wasn't physically, well, it got to a point where I was physically abused. But what I would like to add to that, and I don't, truly, everyone's situation is different, male or female. It's that proverbial, how do you you put a frog in a pot of cold water and you slowly turn up the temperature, it doesn't realize it's being cooked. And this is hard. I didn't think this was going to be this hard for me to share, but abuse or as I experienced, I broke it down to, this is not a healthy relationship. Now, it was an unhealthy relationship. What that ended up being was emotional, and then it got physical, where the woman actually punched me and slapped me, and I was like, I'm not that guy. I started to be cut off from my children, and then I look back like, whoa, that's something I swore I would never do. So my point with that is that every day, and I won't speak for those women and men who are or have been in abusive relationships. I will center it on myself. So I'm walking gingerly. So I'm not saying this is, somebody was like, we all can Monday morning quarterback. For me, every day was not abusive. And that made it even more, in my opinion, dangerous, where you have spouts of good time, and then you have, something that is just off the rails. Then you got that makeup period, like, oh, everything's cool. Oh, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. Oh, yeah, I know I said we shouldn't have your kids this weekend. I'm so sorry about that. I know. And then you have another stretch. And then for me, those stretches of good times got shorter and shorter. And I'll just pause, or I'll stop or pause here. Just it doesn't affect me personally, but it affects me emotionally, that this sorry excuse for a male, in my opinion, I don't consider him a man. A real man would not do what he was accused of doing and what we've seen him do. In the court of law, it's that cliche, it's not what you know, is what you can prove. And I guess I wasn't following this because I got more pressing stuff to, deal with.
Yeah, I'm also wasn't watching it, but I think it brings up some great subjects that like we're talking about. I mean, it talks about, it has a lot. That case has. I mean, I don't think anyone in this community watched that case like every day and watch what's going on. I very, very rarely watched it, but hearing the verdict today and hearing people talk about it this morning made me think about all of the different areas of life that it affects, or it shows how Black women are not looked at in a good way, how Black women are underestimated, how this man was abusing this woman. And, just because it was shown on the videotape, that was just one event. And usually if there was one event, there was many events, that's the whole case. So it just happened to be caught on tape. And that's why we're all talking about it today. But that also, having that on tape did open up a whole nother level of who this person was as a wealthy person, Black man in society, doing the stuff that he was doing and getting away with.
Can I say something? It almost doesn't even matter that he was Black. I'm going to tell you why. The panel said something very interesting. This is a rollback of the women's Me Too movement, where this is just another case of where now men are feeling empowered to call them the P word, to grab them by the P, to beat them, to demoralize them publicly and be able to get away with it.
Right.
That's what this is. This is just another notch to say, you know what? That little movement you guys had that took away our power, we're taking it back and we don't care about you. That's exactly what this was about.
Exactly. And then, you have to connect it to the people who are in charge of this country.
Yes.
Quite a few.
The fish stinks from the head.
Quite a few of those men have similar behaviors toward women.
Yep.
From the top to the bottom of those ones in those cabinet positions, a lot of them have been abusive in a lot of ways. And I think that it is a rollback. It is men have the right to, but we also have to think about the type of grooming that takes place from society and from that person, that male or female that you're in a relationship with. It's the stage of, I'm going to do all of these things nice. I'm going to be so nice that you don't need to count on anyone else but me. I am going to be your closest friend. I'm going to be that person you confide in. I'm going to do all these. I'm conditioning you to be there. I'm grooming you. And then through that grooming, the abuse starts. Because it's like, okay, so I'm going to dress you. I'm going to give you all these things. And you start loving those things and you find it hard to part your way. And you know, and I thank Lisa for sharing her comment and Derek as well.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I've said to people in my life, and I would never do it in my life, and my husband and I talked about it, is that I would never stay in a relationship and use my children as the excuse.
Yeah.
There you go.
Time the children,
and it happens though, but it happens so often.
But I think it's the understanding of why it happens.
Yeah.
It's not always about survive, whether or not I can survive without that person. It's also what are people going to say because I didn't stay? What does society expect me to stay in these places? And that's
Can I add something?
Yes.
Can I add a little something there since you mentioned programming? It's not even, it's, in my opinion, it starts with when we're kids.
Yeah.
If you think about how we look at fairy tales, that there is some guy who's going to come and save you from this castle. And then there is this Prince Charming who's going to come and whisk you away. Everything that is given to women, young girls at an early age, is to be in a place of being submissive.
Right.
To do everything this guy says, to just sort of fall in line, and some guy is going to save you. But they're getting programming from an older time, and some of it has changed, but it is still, it's everywhere. It's in the movies. Pretty Woman.
Everywhere.
Here she is, the woman on the street. Some guy comes and saves her off the street. It's in every single facet of our life. We see it in religion. We know that's already power over. So I'm not going to spend any time on that one, but we see it everywhere. Yeah. And so here you have it where you're asking people to get on a panel, a jury, and judge something, but they have years of programming telling them that women, number one, are less than. Absolutely. And if they're saying anything, it's probably something they did to cause this really good man to do this. Or, well, she got money from it. She got clothes. She got a car. She got a career from it. So what's the problem? That is, you know how hard that is to like break through that barrier. Like that's like real serious tartar and plaque on your teeth. That's some work. That's like
so to add to that, Gwendolyn, I mean, we have to really look and think about this holistically. Women have a hard time coming forward. And I know I can say men and women, but I'm talking specifically to women. It's so hard for them to come forward and to say, hey, I was raped, I was abused. You know, here we have all seen the tape of this woman being abused physically with our own eyes. Now, granted, this was not evidence that could have been used against him. It was shown as a pattern. Right. Because that's not what he was on trial
wasn't
for.
About her.
It wasn't about her and about this incident, which is unfortunate. Right. But now that, you know, this was one of the things that was shown and we've all publicly seen it, why the hell would any woman want to come forward and say, hey, I was abused? No one's going to believe you. Here you have visual evidence that we've all seen, and it didn't even help. So why would anybody, especially a woman, decide to say, hey, this was done to me?
Well, they also, when they were one of the comments that was made by one of the lawyers that was on the panel on Don Lemons this morning is that you have to give her some amazing wrap your arms around her, because she didn't have to testify.
No,
she didn't have to go in and share her story. She didn't have to do any of that. But she did, even being pregnant, married, has a new life. She went in there to help others, to see what was going on. She did not want to be silent. And she could have just been silent and just said, I'm not coming on this, y'all drag me out.
Like everybody else did.
Yeah.
Right. And I see Lisa's comment was saying, remember, she went back. My aunt went back a lot.
Many women go back.
Ended up having her fourth child by the same man.
That's what Derek said. Derek said
she left, she came back. She left, she came back. She left, went back. And she worked at the VA hospital. So it wasn't even just that she didn't have money. She had tons and tons of family down there. So they do leave and come back. They leave and come back for whatever reason. We don't know. We don't know what the grooming is. We don't know what the conditioning is and why they do it, but they do leave and come back. All the ones I know left and came back or took the people back. Now, what that did for me, and I'll be honest, is as I grew up, was it made me say, if ever, this is what I'm going to do. And I never forget my mother. I was talking to her on the phone one night, and I said something. And she's like, well, my husband is Douglas. And she said, oh, Douglas is going to do blah, blah. And I said, I already told him if he does that, I hope his mother has a black or blue dress because she's going to need it. And she said, where is he? I said, sitting right next to me listening to this conversation.
Mm.
And that's how I was. And I never forget a man my sister was dating decided to point his finger in my face. I knew he wasn't always kind. I don't know if he ever hit her, but he pointed his finger in my face. And I always had my nails long. I grabbed his hand and ripped his skin off his hand until it was white. And he said, a child should stay in a child's place. I said, a man should keep his hands out of a child's face. I said, I'm not her sister. I'm not her.
Elise, you are fire from birth.
But that's because I saw stuff growing up.
Yes.
And I knew what I didn't want to. I knew what I wasn't willing to live with. But that's because I saw it. And I saw women that I loved and care about go through it. And being a child, there was nothing I could do to help. But I could learn from those things that I saw and know what I didn't want to have in my existence. And I didn't want to be the existence for any of my children. So that's what I learned. So I learned, and I also knew I had to defend myself from whomever. I had to defend myself. I couldn't count on a sister who was allowing someone to treat her a certain way to defend me. I couldn't count on a mother who thought, oh, he could hit you and thought I would live with that to defend me and protect me. I couldn't count on those people to protect me. So I knew I had to protect myself. But I know I won't say I'm the norm.
No.
I'm not going to say I'm the norm. I just learned from those examples. And I do give credit to being raised by an amazing father for that, who didn't take anything off anyone and taught us not to take anything off anyone. And it somehow is settled in me more than it's settled in others.
Yeah, it's like I said, I did not understand it. I mean, until one of my friends in my workplace was going through that, and at first I was like, and I remember the women in the workplace, they gathered together, got her out of the apartment, got her away from him, and yada yada yada. And then she ended up going back to him, and he was abusive again. And at the time, I was like, just in my own ignorance, I was like, why would she go back? Why would she go back? But it is a complex, and the more I start reading and studying and learning about abuse in that area, it is so complex. You can't just look at a person and say, why do they go back? There's so many reasons.
The person has to be willing within themselves to say, enough is enough, and I'm done. You can't, let me tell you something, no matter what your good intentions are and that you're willing to help them, they cannot be helped until they want to be helped. That's the one thing I've learned about people. You can have all the greatest intentions for someone, but if they're not ready to accept that, there's nothing you can do about it. You can only try to be there for them. And there comes a point sometimes where you have to walk away from someone because it's not good for your mental health also, because, we're not in this alone. No one walks this world alone. So things that affect them can affect you. Yes. And you have to learn to know when to say, you know what? I can't do this with you anymore unless you're ready to change.
The thing also, Chris, is that it is also it has no discrimination of people, because I have once I started this conversation with some of my closest friends, and they share with me their story. And I mean, I have a lot of strong women in my life, you're like, what? That happened? And she was like, yeah. that's it really helps you to like zero in and say, wow, this is, anyone can be lured into it. Anyone can.
Yeah.
Can I add one thing to that, Ron?
Yeah.
May I? And this, and I know you hate when I bring this up, but I want to bring it up. This is why I am opposed, or I should say, I am more intentional with the words we choose. When we describe Black women as being strong, it makes it seem as if there is no place for us to ever feel pain, to ever be abused, to ever be soft and be cared for, because, well, you're strong like a fucking ox. We are not. That is not it. And so when we use certain words to describe people, we take away from their humanity. Those words, the words we choose to use, they matter. So women, they're not strong, right? Like that's not the way that I would want someone to describe me ever. Ever describe me as being strong. Gwendolyn has pain, right? Your strongest soldiers, if you want to go there, they also get weary. They get tired. But when we use certain words, we take away certain parts of a person's humanity, because it makes it seem as if, well, they can deal with it. They've dealt with everything else. This is it's like we just have to, like, as we're moving forward, think about how we're describing things. And I appreciate this conversation and having this very panel, because it allows us to share our perspective and also give examples. You're a man, Gwendolyn is a woman, right? And so I am telling you that when I go places and people say and see things, they will take it and say, well, you always get through this and you always make things happen and you always do. It's like, yeah, I won't fail, but I'm not strong. I'm not here to pick up everybody's slack. I'm not here to take care of your kids. I'm not your mama, not your best friend. I'm not your fucking therapist. Go get help for that. I'm not your emotional mule, right? Black women have a lot of things put on them.
Right.
A lot. And at a certain point, as Black women, like this verdict may not be what we wanted to hear. It will not stop us from making sure that we change this narrative and take control of the story and call out the predators and the pedophiles for exactly who they are. That will not change. I don't care what his PR team is, right? Like take that all aside. We will keep doing what we're doing. Because at some point, what I don't want is for my grandbaby, my niece, and anybody else to deal with this BS. I'm not having it until the good Lord takes my breath away. We are not having that.
Can I add? Or
go ahead, Brian. Go.
And shift a bit. The men. Sean, I'm not calling this dude Diddy. His mama named him Sean. His name is Sean Combs. The men, or the males, because I do believe there's a difference. The responsibility is I say it's on the males or the men. If you see or get a whiff, a spidey sense that some dude that's in your circle exhibits traits of violence. We often talk about the community. Okay, this case is Sean Combs, but this and the Black women that he abused over years, and oftentimes the spotlight is on, and as you guys have discussed, on the women. Well, what was she wearing? What was she doing? Oh, she got money. Like, I'm looking at side-eyed at this cat. What was his upbringing? And we don't have to go deep in that. I don't know. I've heard stuff when every now and then when the trial popped up, like his dad was a gangster and was murdered or whatever. Who is holding him accountable? I feel blessed and fortunate when I hear stuff like this. The circle of men that are in my life. Sorry, that's McQueen down here snoring. The circle of men that I have in my life, I can say on a stack of Bibles, I don't associate with cats like that. And my friends and family, friends become family, and specifically to the men, they would hold me accountable. And the same thing, to allow a friend who you call a friend, if you notice that he's like aggressive to his woman, show up at a barbecue, she's wearing sunglasses all the time. Like, dude, it's 7:30 in December in Detroit. Why are you wearing sunglasses? Now I'm looking at you side-eyed. Holding each other accountable and putting the responsibility on the men. That's where I'm listening to us, and it just keeps coming
Well,
back.
if I may interject, I mean, for instance, I have friends that who are lesbians, and one of my friends who's a lesbian, she was abused by her lesbian lover, verbally, psychologically, physically. I have a gentleman that I've shared one of my stories about a gentleman that I met in the village, and I've met other men that are in male relationships that have been abused the same way. I've also met men that were at my church that were abused by their wives. So, I mean, this is, it happens a lot to women, but it's a lot that goes on of men and women, women on men, women with women. Because it's the individual. That individual feels somewhat in that, and like Elise said, it's all about power and control.
I think we have to think about what Chris said before. It's about people being abused, period. Yes. There are men who, and a lot of times you don't hear the men as much, especially if it's a woman that's doing the abusing, because they don't want people to know that they're in a situation where a woman is physically abusing them. And that's stuff that society has done to men. They don't want that to be happening. And I tell you, like, I told my son that when he was growing up, I said, now you're never to hit a woman. I said, but let me tell you something. If one hits you and you tell her to stop and she keeps hitting you, you pop her one. And so one of my female students, because I taught at his high school in his senior year, she came to me. She said, Ms. Stallworth, did you tell Chris he could hit a woman? I said, let me tell you what I told my son. I told my son that if someone was hitting him and abusing him, and he told them to stop. And if he was at it and they refused to stop, he had a right to defend himself.
That is self-defense.
And I said, so however you want to put that. I wasn't telling him to go out and abuse women, but he can't feel like he can't defend himself. Or you have two choices. You can defend yourself, but if you walk away and she comes behind you and keeps doing it, some point you got to push her off, or you have to do something. You could call the police if you like, but you have to do some response so that she knows that it's not okay for women to hit men any more than it is for men to hit women. And I think society has conditioned everyone to think that men are the abusers all the time. They're not always the abusers. Women can be abusive and have been, and the men are just conditioned. It's the same thing when you tell boys don't cry.
Yeah.
So boys don't tell people that they're being abused. And I do want to comment on women in the strong thing, because I tell people I am not your strong friend. I am a human being who at times have had her moments, and trying to carry the weight for everyone and making sure everyone else was good led to my shattering. And so I had to have people respect that. I'm going to pray for you because that's what I can do. However, I'm going to take care of Elise. I'm going to get on that plane. I'm going to go to that, or I'm going to do what I need to do to take care of me. And I'm going to let you figure that out.
Yes. Yeah. And if you're in the building, make sure you hit the likes so that way people know we're having this great conversation. Man, this is, that's again, the community. Everyone's talking and sharing their stories. I don't think, in the world that we live in, I don't think anyone has not been touched or know someone that's been touched by abuse.
Absolutely.
It's everywhere. It's at the church, it's in the school, it's in the family. It's I think everyone has known several people that have been abused over their lifetime.
Can I add to what G put in the
Yeah,
chat
go ahead.
a little
Mhm.
earlier, and then it's like both you and Elise, and the notion of masculinity, like abuse, can goes both ways in same-sex relationships, heterosexual relationships, male or female. But specifically, and I shared, moments ago, but just a snapshot of experience I went through, and I didn't think I was being abused until, and I guess quite frankly and literally, until this woman that I had been with, we'd been three going into at least 3 years, had been around my kids, and this overlaps into what I feel like God. For me, I believe in God, and I feel like God is not threatening, but He will tap you on the shoulder. And He kept tapping me on the shoulder, and I kept feeling something inside me, like, look, this is, I got to end this. It's unhealthy. I don't know. I couldn't put. There's that X factor, and when she laid her hand, and she punched me and slapped me like a 1-2, and that was like, had never shown any physical abuse to me. But I hear you, sisters. Way I was raised, I literally was like, nope, that's it. And I turned my back, but I kept being aware of my six, because she was coming after me, and I was like, nope, that is not how I roll. I'm not going to hit a woman. Now, if things got like, heaven forbid, like worse, I don't know what I would have done. But I did have a split second of like, dude, how am I going to, she's been introduced to my family, my boys, and we have to, I don't know what the solution is, but the notion that, okay, well, you got beat up by a woman, or like, no, you're in an abusive relationship. I didn't think I was until after the fact, and I started looking back at the markers.
See, you're proving the point. Most people do not realize what they're in when they're in it, and you can't. That's why you can't say something to someone when they're in an abusive relationship, because they don't see it, because they're in it, and especially when they feel as though, oh, this person provides for me. He's paying my bills. He's giving me money to go do shopping. No, all that is control.
Absolutely.
That is control.
Absolutely.
And epitome of it. I mean, let me tell you something. My husband and I, when we got together, one of the first things I said to him, I was like, look, I'm not here to change you or to tell you how you should be. I'm accepting you for who you are, and you accept me for who I am, and that's how we're going to roll. We have our own separate accounts. We have joint accounts. We respect one another as individuals. I don't care how long you've been married. We've been married for 5 years. You can be married for 30 years. You are still an individual when it comes down to it. And we have to respect each other as individuals first. Because the minute you don't respect that person as an individual, you have lost the marriage.
It's over.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Chris. But Brian kind of validates what I said about people too. They've been in a relationship for that long, and they knew the family, they knew the children. I don't care. Get out.
Neither do I.
That's not why you stay. And this is what I tell my friends who stay and have brought up situations like, I stay with kids, or I let them stay in contact with children. What are you teaching children about?
Yes. But that's where all this is coming from. Mm-hmm. They've seen that pattern of abuse. Mm-hmm. These are all things that are learned.
You learn this. They teach you this. You're teaching your children. Yep. Your children see something. Your children, even if they don't see the action, they see you're not happy. Yep. They see it. They feel you. They
feel it. They feel it.
And so if you leave that person or not around that person, then your children are so happy to be just with you. Guess what? That child wasn't happy when that person was there. If they're telling you how excited they are about it now. Right. And stop. I just want to tell people, stop using kids
as an excuse.
As an excuse to keep from whatever your fear of failure, your fear of what people are going to say, whatever it is. Stop using your kids. That person who's abusing you, whether it's physically, verbally, emotionally, whatever it is, do not deserve to be around your children.
Right.
They don't deserve to be around your children, period. I don't care who they are. If I was verbally abusive or something, my husband, we don't deserve those. Our children don't deserve that. People who use certain language as my children were growing up, I told my mother, you can't talk to my children like that. They don't say that in their house, so you can't say that to them in their faces.
Let me give you an example. All right, my mother and my what I call my sperm donor. My mom left when I was 3 years old. And I'm going to tell this. I've never told the story publicly. I'm part of the reason why my mother and father got divorced. My father used to cheat on my mother when they lived in Jamaica. All right. And my father would take me to his mistress's house. One day I was with my mother and we walked past this lady's house that I recognized. I said, "Oh, Daddy takes me there." My mother said, "This will never happen again," basically. And, you know, she had a 1-year-old, my brother, actually wasn't even one yet. And then me, a 3-year-old. And she said, that was it. I learned from my mother at that young age that that's not what you tolerate and that's not what you settle for. And I would say for the majority of my life, I've never ever settled for anyone when it came to relationships. If you decide that you wanted to step out, peace. This is not for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's so true. We learn from our parents, and sometimes it's not something that they sit there and they tell you. It's by the actions that they do, and kids pick up on everything. They might not say anything. They see something out of the corner of their eye, and that is a memory that sticks with them forever. So all these things that you see that people are doing now, you know, being abused and staying. It's not necessarily something that, you know, that they want to do, but it's because that's what they know and what they've seen. So even though you're taught to say this is not what should be happening, but I saw it happen and my parents stayed, so I just need to stick it out.
Right. Absolutely.
No.
Stay. Yeah, that's like I said, that line in the song was I was taught to stay. But you're not, it doesn't mean that you're staying in something good. And I just tell people all the time, children watch you. Children learn.
Children watch everything.
And if they're happy, if they're happiest when that person is not around them, that tells you something at that child's parent.
Yes.
Or if you and that person aren't together, they think they see you being happier. That child doesn't know how to form those words to say it. Yeah. But they do say it, and I know, and I've told you all before, I was blessed to have the father that I have, even though at 62, I found out he wasn't my biological father. I'm sure he didn't know that. But anyway, because in all of the years, that 7 years that we lived, that we lived just with him, there was never a woman in our house that was not a relative. He never introduced us to any women. He never took us around any women. Never. In 7 years did this man, and he had relationships, but they were not allowed to call our house. They couldn't call our house. They couldn't come by the house, and we never knew who he was talking to. And I just respect that so much. I just said how much he respected his children. And it was totally different when I went to live with my mother, who I didn't know that well. She was living with a man and his 2 kids. Thank God she was living with a good man. Because she wasn't the greatest mother, but he was a good man. And so I used to tell people, so I used to ask this question at one point, and I changed it this year. Oh, what did you learn about love? What did you learn about relationships from your childhood experiences or your experiences growing up? What did you learn about how relationships work? Because love depends on relationships. And you can be in love or with somebody all you want. That doesn't mean that person is the best person for you.
Let me say something. My who I call my dad, my stepdad, I call him my father. This is the only father I've really ever known, even though I know my biological father. But this man I love and respect, and I will do anything. I go to the ends of the earth for my parents. Marriages aren't perfect. And my parents showed me that, but also they showed me how you can love someone and you work through things. You know, they've been together, God knows what, 30 something years. Her brother, no, 40 something years, because my brother's 40. My youngest brother's 40. And they're still together today through sickness and in health. And as you get older, sickness becomes a thing, but they still just working through it. You know what I mean? And I look at them, and not that I model my marriage off of that, but I have the examples. I've seen it. I know what it is to have a healthy marriage. Here's one thing I loved about them. They raised their family. We did family vacations. They even did their own separate vacations. But what that allowed them to do was to keep healthy, because they understood that they were still individuals and they needed time apart from one another to do their own thing as well. You know what I mean? And that's healthy. And I wish that more people are able to see people in that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so important, because I think it's where people are getting relationships wrong. Like, they feel as though once you get married that you lose your identity, and that's farthest from the truth. The minute you lose your identity, you don't know what a relationship is, because you don't know who you are. That's what I always tell friends.
True.
You're better off being by yourself for a long time and getting to know who you are before you get into a relationship with someone. And I think that's what's probably even helped me as an individual and being in a marriage, is because I was single for a long time and I was happy just being by myself. Ronald was happy being by himself. The fact that we found each other was just a blessing. And then we can enjoy each other's company and then also still respect each other as individuals to do our own thing.
Yeah.
My children don't never know what being single was.
Oh my goodness. Good.
I know there's time here, but like, my parents show me what love is. It's an action verb. So watching their relationship, they went through everything. My mother suffers from being manic depressive. So I saw my father love her through her episodes, right? But my dad died from lung cancer. I saw her in the ICU every single day up until the point he passed away. They have had money. They have not had money. They have had a moment where they had to separate and figure it out. And I thought, okay, my parents had the very best marriage. Stuff happens. You have your ups and you have your downs. At one point, I believe they sort of lost themselves and they worked themselves back together. And I learned from that, you have to evolve. You have to make sure you are still who you are. You have to also think about how you communicate. Now, they talked a lot. That kitchen table, I got a lot from the kitchen table. A lot about money and all the things from the kitchen table. But it's an action verb. Love is an action verb. Working through all of that. If you're not in it for the long haul, you're going to have some problems. But I agree with Chris completely. You have to know who you are. If you're looking for someone to fill in some gaps, this ain't going to be it. This like finding a person to make you whole. That does not happen. Like, you have
what happened when the gap is filled in? Then what's next?
Yeah, and then you have to also, in relationships, when you're married or whatever your relationship is, right? Don't isolate yourself as a couple, or don't say we're only going to hang out with married people and all that. No, sometimes you need somebody that's not in a situation to say, hey, you know what? That seems crazy to me. You need some other, you need, I have tons and tons that, Ron, you all know, I have tons and tons of single friends. And it's not important about, who the people are. It's just whether they're in relationships or not. What's important is what our values are and how we treat each other. And I find joy in all of that. And like right now, most of my relationships are with people who are younger than I am. So
same here. I learn a lot from everyone.
But I also have a husband who has allowed me the freedom to be who I am. Who's saying, okay, so you're traveling here, you're traveling there. And he's getting a little older, and he'll be 80 next month. So he's going, man, he's like, I'm feeling it. I say, look, but he's still walking 6 miles a day. I told him, don't complain if you're still walking 6 miles a day.
That's awesome.
But the whole part is I can see where he's like the things that he's not as sure about, like driving and all that stuff as far as busyness. He don't like traffic now. But that's trying to support that, and him supporting me. He's never not supported me. He's always encouraged me. And I think that I know that I have been blessed. And as I said, my children are right. I don't know what it's like to just be on my own, but I do know what it's like to be myself. I do know what it's like to be who I am, and having someone in my life who allowed me to be myself, because we were friends first and then everything else came later. But I think that's what a lot of people miss, is about the friendships too.
Yes.
Gotta have your friends.
I want to second what Lisa said. That's exactly right. When it applies to platonic friendships as well. Keep the friends who don't like when you hang out with other friends. Yeah, that's not somebody you want to be with. When you got friends that are just other friends, bye.
Yeah.
I had one of those, and I had to put them in check, Chris. I had to tell her, look, girl, look. Not about you. And you have to do that, because friends become control. Friends in friend relationships can try to control you just as much as your intimate relationship.
Yes.
Yep.
They can try that, and it's like, no, you can. I can't have anyone in my life who tries to do control. And I know it comes from my traumas. I always challenge everybody, go and look up adverse child experiences and find out what yours were, and you'll see how it impacts who you are.
Well, I want to also bring up, and just for those that may be watching this video later on, and you don't know that you can get help, there is also the National Domestic Violence Hotline. You can go online and call. They have 1-800-799-SAFE, which is 7233. You can chat, and you can have text, AI chat as well. But the website is just simply thehotline.org. And that if anyone's going through domestic violence, and if you know someone that's going through domestic violence, this is a great hotline for you. Okay. That was what a conversation. I love when we have these. This was every water cooler conversation, water cooler talk conversation. We started out like Lisa said, we started out with talking about P. Diddy. And then, however, and it just evolved the conversation. So we could use a subject of what's going on today to indulge in a conversation that's going to build everyone up. Right. And I think everyone walks away. And thank you guys for the transparency. Oh man, just being transparent about your situation, what you've shared. I mean, Brian, Gwendolyn, Chris, Elise. I mean, just absolutely amazing. And also Derek in the audience, and everyone, in the chat, Jazzy, and all you folks in here.
Lisa shared a lot of her experience.
Yeah, Lisa gave us a lot there. And so it's just, that's the beauty of community. So guys, I will challenge you to continue to build community, build this community, but also find your tribe, find your community, so that way you're not walking this walk in life alone. Yeah. We need each other. The great thing about this community is that a lot of us, we talk on here, but we talk definitely when we're not on this screen. Right, Gwendolyn? Right, Elise?
Like I said, man, we are in the workplace. We are in the workplace. You can always slide by, have a conversation. If that's not happening, we're probably on the phone.
Yes, we are. We are truly a community that connects with one another. Yes, you do, but we ain't gonna talk about that, Brian.
That's my own.
No shame.
Safe space, safe zone. But no judgment zone here. But yeah. Brian, so again, thank you guys for chiming in. And Brian, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna. What keeps coming? Like we started and where we are, and it just keeps coming back. Like to me, in simplest term, relationships. It just a relationship. And that doesn't mean romantic necessarily, but as Elise, as you guys pointed out, it's relationship, whether it's your work relationship, your friendship relationship, your family relationship, it's still relationship. Yeah. And I remember hearing this from this audiobook. I may have shared this share previously, but it's a fitting again here from this general, Army general during Vietnam. and they were about to head out. This one of his soldiers had just had a baby, and he was struggling with the challenge of being a father, bringing life into this world, and then having to possibly go take a life as a soldier. So this general, he asked the general, how do I be good at being a soldier and also be good at being a father? The relationship. And this general just said, I hope me doing the best I can at one helps me be better at the other. And he didn't make a differentiation between the two. And I share that as a relationship. If you're in a professional relationship with your colleagues, coworkers, you may not have to go out to a bar with them or anything, but just developing those interpersonal skills with them in a professional sense will help you be better in your family relationships or in your personal relationships and vice versa. That's it. Relationship. Sorry.
Well, thank you, buddy. Thank you for sharing that. And guys, also, if you want to be a part of our community and also stay in contact, make sure you join our email list today. You can just go to ronlewisphotos.com and then you can know what's going on. And also, if you're looking for an event photographer, I am an event photographer and you can recommend me. I do travel all over and it should be now soon to say all over the world. So that will happen as well. And also thank you to our Patreon members. Your support helps us create amazing content. I am very thankful to our Patreon members. And also this is, we are just past the first was yesterday. So you guys have a free download coming up on probably tomorrow. So make sure you guys stay into your Patreon page so you'll see that link. So you'll be able to take that free download and get it printed at any Walgreens, CVS, or any printing company to print the photo. Okay, so you'll have a free download for those that have been committed to the Patreon community. You've been a part of the Patreon community and supporting what we do here. If you're not a part of the Patreon community, make sure you sign up and you can join the Patreon community and help us pay for the bills. There are lots of bills associated with coming on this platform every day. And if you can make a difference, make a difference. Just go to patreon.com and go to Ron Lewis Photos. Okay, I think that's it. We are doing great. We are doing great on time. Excellent. And guys, thank you again for an amazing conversation. Tomorrow we'll be here. Oh, I got some good news. I got another offer today. It's going up. It's going up.
Come on.
So we got to bring it to the numbers that I want. And this evening is a big open house. So we have some folks coming into the open house. And tomorrow is the end of offerings. I can't believe it. I mean, we just had the open house on Sunday, and we're closing the offerings on tomorrow. So I am excited and very happy that we are making those steps forward. And so it's going to be a beautiful thing to get out here into the big world and then share more with you guys and be able to just be more of a blessing to everyone. So looking forward to that. Also, if you are in New York City and you are a regular participant in our community, could you go to your Instagram account? My Instagram account is Ron Lewis Photos, and slide into my DMs. If you live in New York City, because I have a situation, I have a thing going on July 4th. And if you are in the city, you could be invited to it. So let me know. And but you have to slide into my DMs, and that is for the regular folks. If I don't know who you are, you are not invited. Sorry to tell you.
Even know what to say about that.
This is for the regular Touch Base Daily community. This is for the Touch Base community. This is just not random folks. This is for the Touch Base Daily community.
He's not here for the random hookups. He's here for the regulars.
This is not a random. This is not a hookup. This is not random. Lisa says she'll be there. Lisa will be there. Chris will
Do what
be
you gotta
there.
do, Ron. Do what you gotta do.
Christine, I should say. Ron said, "You're not coming to my place." If I don't know who you are, you definitely not coming in those doors. But there are people that are in this community that are here all the time. They support. They're in the Patreon community. They are also part of the Touch Base Daily community. And if you have an opportunity, you want to see the fireworks, slide into my DMs and I'll give you the information.
Oh, he can give you some fireworks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be a time I'm not in New York, right?
Time to go. Time to go. Time to
Oh
go.
gosh, love you guys. Have a great day. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a wonderful hump day and do something really wonderful for yourselves. Give yourself some love. Talk to you later. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.